So guys, in this video we're going to be looking at some of the settings for Vanguard. Now I have both Vanguard on the Xbox and the PC. Kind of notice settings that work for both of them. Also sort of some specific settings for the PC, some specific settings for the consoles. So let's jump straight into it. Now, if you're on a medium to low end system on Vanguard, I would probably recommend if you use the medium preset. Now, medium preset on Vanguard for some reason weirdly seems to look pretty nice. Now, this game doesn't seem to be as intensive as Cold War was. I know I had some VRAM issues with Cold War towards the end cycle of the game. Cold War would sort of spike my VRAM into the 5.5 gig usage mark. Nothing had really changed. It normally sat comfortably around 3.5, 4. All of a sudden it was around 5.5. Vanguard seems to be sitting around between anything 2.8 to 3.5. It just sort of depends on what map I am. I find obviously if you're playing Blitz, you have more players, you have a little bit more rendering to do. It tends to go up a little bit. So mine is a little bit of customization. I prefer my game to probably be a little bit faster. If I want it to look as gorgeous as it will, I'll play it on the Series X. It's just kind of the way I've done it. That's probably why you'll notice if I'm playing the campaign, I'm actually playing on my Xbox, just to give it that full 4K quality, so it looks as nice as possible. So for the PC settings, I have medium graphics. It still tends to be nice. As I say, the VRAM usage for Vanguard, as you can see, is a lot less than what my Cold War was. Now, straight off the bat, motion blur, I turn that off. Now, motion blur makes your game look cinematic and beautiful, but unfortunately, whenever you're running around a multiplayer map, if you turn too quickly and it is blurred to make it look as aesthetically pleasing as possible, you may miss an enemy. And at that point, you normally end up getting shot in the head or getting taken down and having a knife stuck up your throat. Cold War sensitivity I found a little bit weird as well. Vanguard is very, very similar to multiplayer for Modern Warfare. It runs the same Infinity Ward engine. So Cold War was a little bit weird with the sensitivity. I'm playing on the same sensitivity I would play on Modern Warfare, so 5.5. So tend to be whatever you play on Modern Warfare, you can sort of set that up straight away and play on Vanguard. Now, tap the slide is something else I kind of recommend. It makes slide cancelling so much easier. Obviously, you would normally have to hold the B button if you're on Xbox or the circle button if you're on PlayStation. I'm not too sure what it would be on PC. I know I have mine set to the V button. It just all depends what your sort of preset is. But if you do tap the slide, it makes slide cancelling so much easier. It allows you to essentially slide cancel, get around the map that little bit faster. It improves your mobility. It just makes life so much easier. Next I would recommend is sprint, cancel, reload. If you're caught in the middle of that firefight, you're trying to slap a mag into your gun and all of a sudden two enemies appear, you're kind of like a deer in headlights. If you sprint to cancel your reload, it might give you that time to jump out of there, get away, get a little bit of cover, get that mag loaded back in and jump right back into the fight. And last but not least on this page, auto attack sprint. I'm a person that likes to run around very quick. I tend to use SMGs or shortened ARs whenever it comes to... Well, it really depends what kind of map I'm on, but that tends to be my general preference. Auto attack sprint allows me to jump into the game as quick as possible. It allows me to get away, get into objectives, jump into enemy territory, just sort of hit them hard, fast, and then get back out of there. Next is field of view. Now, my personal preference for field of view on both PC and console is 95. It's just sort of the field of view degree that I'm used to. It's entirely up to yourself. Again, this is going to be something personal preference, a little bit like the stick sensitivity. It just depends on what you prefer. I've seen some people play all the way up to 110. 115 and above, you tend to sort of get that fishbowl effect. So 110 seems to be probably your limit. While keeping the game looking quite nice, but definitely anything's higher than the previous 80. Next up for field of view, for the ADS I have it as independent rather than affected. So what that means is whenever you zoom down the barrel of your gun, be it a sight or the iron sight, it gives you that sort of standard field of view that it would normally would for the console. So probably around about 80-85. Now, the reason why I do this is a little bit more accuracy. It just tends to make the gun seem a little bit easier to aim at enemies. Now, some people tend to have affected. What that means is you have a little bit less visual recoil, so it's a bit less to control. I don't have many issues controlling my guns. I haven't actually found too many jumpy guns in Vanguard at the moment, so I tend to leave it on independent just to give me a little bit more accuracy over longer ranges. It's handy for some longer maps, especially like Dome if you're trying to be far away and pick certain people off. Next is camera movement. I turn the camera movement all the way down to 50%. Now that doesn't stop camera shake. It doesn't stop sort of any explosions and stuff going off and making the camera all juddery. What it does is it kind of increases it. It just makes it a little nicer. Apparently, obviously it helps your motion sickness, but it just makes it a little bit nicer. It allows you to still see sort of what's going around if you get rocked by a flashbang or a grenade or an explosion goes off nearby you, just so you can get back in the fight a little bit quicker. Coming up towards the end, I would definitely recommend changing your mini-map to square. You get roughly 20% more mini-map, so you can see enemies and stuff, especially if you have the likes of the recon perk, just so you can sort of see where those guys are. At that point, you obviously, more map, better tactical awareness. Better tactical awareness, you know exactly where you're looking for. Finally, mini-map rotation, just so you're always aware of what's in front of you, rather than trying to figure out where your bearings are or what side is north. It's just easier if the mini-map rotates along with you. And last but not least is on plus boost latency for this little setting here. Now, what this means is it keeps a higher clock for your GPU, especially for CPU related games such as the likes of Vanguard, Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare. It makes your game a little bit easier. Something I personally recommend, it's something my system can handle. It may not work for your system, again it's a personal preference. Try it and see. If it does, I find it boosted my frames per second quite a wee bit. I tend to average around about 145 to 155 FPS. It really all depends. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed these setting videos for Call of Duty Vanguard. If you have any questions or any settings or any tips of yourself, make sure you drop them in the comments below, and as always leave a like rating on the video.